The complaint shut down. The sneaky Princess Catherine pic suffocates Meghan's major claims wrong. The Princess of Wales has gone to her very first music festival, and the photo evidence says a lot about what royal life is really like. Sometimes in this job of royal reporting, I come across combinations of words that I never thought I was going to read. Some examples may be like Princess Anne and a hen party, or maybe Queen Camilla is trying out dry July. And another one would be Princess of Wales and rave. But here we find ourselves thinking about the very fact that the royal family's most popular girl, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has gone to her first ever music festival. I don't see how the court circular is ever going to be able to live this down. Such an interesting world we're living in. But unfortunately, right after that initial report, as I was picturing the princess twirling some glow sticks while Prince William was watching the kids, along came somebody with a real photo of her in full festival mode. So the shot shows Catherine with an unusual amount of skin and an off-the-shoulder top, and she was talking with two middle-aged guys in an overlit marquee. And while it didn't really look like the same photos I have seen of my grandkids at music festivals, still, at least she is holding what appears to be a cocktail, and she's not dressed like she's about to go to church. Future Queen Goes to Festival is a pretty interesting headline, isn't it? And it's something I could talk about for a long time. But this photo really tells us a much more interesting story. A story about women who choose to marry into the royal family, and about how free these women really are. Also about how calm this particular rave looked. And this is where, unfortunately, I have to bring Meghan's name into this story. I don't understand why, but it does seem like all roads lead right back to her. Anyway, when The Liar sat down with Oprah back in 2021, there was more than just a hint of an echo of Diana's infamous interview that she did with Panorama back in 1994. Both women talked about how they had plunged headfirst into marriages, and then they found themselves trapped within this strange, stifling system. Both women also discussed how this new identity required self-sacrifice and also giving up parts of who they were. Meghan, much like her deceased mother-in-law, went on TV to tell everybody what royal life was really like. Meghan made that lifestyle sound incredibly restrictive, where she didn't even get to enjoy some basic freedoms like holding onto her passport. And so of course, that got people wondering about the other royal wives like Catherine and Sophie and Queen Camilla. Do they not even have access to their own passports? And what about Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York? I guess her passport is also in that dusty drawer somewhere. But anyway, back to the interview. Oprah suggested to Meghan that she had been trapped, and she agreed. So the equation didn't seem all that complicated. Palaces are the same thing as prisons. The end result was that Meghan's characterization made her 20 months of official HRHdom sound incredibly oppressive and difficult. And considering that you and I have never married princes, it is one we could never really dispute. We haven't experienced it. Well, I guess we have no real reason not to believe Meghan, right? Not so fast. Here comes Raver Catherine and her cocktail to throw a little bit of a spoke in the wheels. Because seriously, how can we accept that Meghan wasn't allowed to leave the house for months on end, and we also know that Catherine's out there partying it up? So the thing about Catherine is that she is both one of the most famous women in the entire world, but at the same time, it's not like she lives this private life where she can't have any fun, where she doesn't have any opportunities to use the titanium American Express card, and what I'm hoping is the occasional margarita pitcher. Let me share with you just a few examples. In 2017, the future queen went to the Maribel ski resort in France to celebrate her sister's hen's party. Now, in 2019 and in 2022, the princess had the chance to join Thomas's Battersea Parents Drinks evenings at Prince Harry-approved Chelsea Place, the Hollywood Arms, and she did that on multiple occasions. One source spoke with the Daily Mail about one such evening, and they said there was no fuss or fanfare. And then this week, we learned about Catherine going to the music festival. The 41-year-old princess had been eating with the Marquess and Marchioness of Cholmondeley, David and Rose, while the 24-hour dance party held on their estate was happening. And lucky for us, the Daily Mail got the inside story about how this shocking situation came to be, revealing, quote, after dinner, one of the guests suggested that Catherine go to the festival. Catherine was nervous about the idea, but after much discussion with her protection officer, she went with lots of security. William wasn't there. And the London Evening Standard also revealed that yes, indeed, that was a spicy margarita in her hand, and that Catherine had been eating affogato, an Italian coffee, and ice cream dessert as well, and her party had left a $1,393 tip. So what we can learn from this is that Catherine really does live life to the fullest. She's not always hanging out at places we would expect her to hang out. In the last few years, she has taken her older two kids, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, to shop at a Smiggle store. She has been seen out and about shopping at a supermarket. She also hit up Sloane Square institution Peter Jones, and she has been regularly spotted getting behind the wheel of the family's Audi station wagon. It's also important to keep in mind that these are not all carefully planned in advance outings. In 2021, Catherine went as a private citizen to attend the vigil for slain London woman Sarah Everard. She laid a bouquet of flowers that she had picked from her own garden. And Catherine's not the only one who manages to get out and about. Prince William was photographed in June shaking his thing at East London nightclub Coco, proving that he is the kind of dancer we would imagine him to be. We can't argue that all of these examples, and I'm sure many more that we don't even know about, would have involved Catherine and William's close protection officers, sweating nervously as they were watching a future king or queen dance. But still, the Wales family manages to get out there and live their lives. Now, I'm sure there are some limits. We're not going to see Catherine out there wearing glitter all over her face and taking some weird pill. But still, they are living their lives in an open way that Diana never could have even dreamed of. Thanks to the Dyson inquiry, we now know that Diana was basically conned into doing that panorama interview. And in that interview, Diana said, "When I go out of my door, my front door, I'm being photographed. I never know where a lens is going to be. A normal day would be followed by 4 cars. A normal day would come back to my car and find 6 freelance photographers jumping around me." Well, as far as I know, in the years that William and Catherine have been together, that horrible scenario has never happened. So the question this Catherine rave photo really raises is, while I'm sure that voluntarily climbing inside the royal cage would be a very challenging personal experience, is it really as bad as Meghan acted like it was? And there's also the very tricky question of how Meghan's "very little that I was allowed to do" quote chimes with the fact that 2 times in 2019, she jetted off to New York on personal trips to spend some time with friends. Well, it seems like William and Catherine's lives are a bit freer because it seems like there's much more of a public respect for boundaries now. Let's think about how few, if any, shots like this we've ever seen of Catherine and William out there in the wild, even though they're not living these pathetic existences. There's also been a real change in public attitudes towards the voracious lenses of the paparazzi. Used to, it was acceptable for them to just do whatever to get that shot. Now, if on a daily basis Catherine were being followed around by 4 carloads of photographers and 6 freelance photographers jumping around her, you know people would be upset. But still, I think there is one thing we can all agree on. The biggest takeaway here is this: never order an ice cream at a music festival, my goodness. And also, maybe that royal cage is a lot more spacious than Meghan Markle made it seem like. And you, what do you think about this issue? Let us know your opinion below in the comments section. If you think my video is useful, don't be afraid to like and share it with your friends and family members who would like it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.